Most of us have seen things, heard things, or felt things that seem mysterious. And when we have one of these extraordinary personal experiences, it can be difficult to deny our own senses. In surveys of people who believe in the paranormal, it's quite common for them to cite personal experience as the #1 reason for their belief. In everyday life, we usually assume that what we see is reality, and this is generally the case. But we should be careful under the following circumstances. #1, when our conclusion is at odds with all known past experiences. 2, when our experience is uncorroborated. And 3, when any of the peculiarities of our minds could be at work. Our experiences are reliable for most practical purposes. However, they can mislead us in the strangest and most unexpected ways, and this is usually when the experiences are exceptional or mysterious. Just because something seems real doesn't mean that it is. What we perceive is determined not only by our senses, but by what we know, what we expect, what we believe, and what our psychological state is. Perception, memory, and reason are reliable, but not infallible. Our perception is affected by 2 categories of bias: perceptual and cognitive. The idea that our normal perceptions are like a photograph is wrong. Much research now suggests that perception is constructive. In other words, our perceptions are, in part, something that our brains manufacture. Our perception is affected by many things, including expectation. We can perceive exactly what we expect to perceive, regardless of what is real. This is why scientists in Nazi Germany thought that they could see non-existent physical differences between the blood particles of Jews and those of the Aryan man. A second perceptual bias is something called pareidolia. Pareidolia is a phenomenon in which we tend to construct meaningful patterns out of ambiguous perceptual stimulus. When confronted with a vague, formless stimulus, we try to perceive something very distinct in it. This is why some see a face on Mars. A third perceptual bias is the autokinetic effect, which is a phenomenon in which a stationary small point of light in an otherwise dark or featureless environment appears to move, perhaps because of small involuntary movements of the eyeball. This is likely one of the reasons there are so many UFO sightings. It is also the reason that the pinwheels in this picture appear to move when, in fact, they are stationary. In addition to perceptual biases, there are also cognitive biases. A lot of research today indicates that, like our perceptual powers, our memories aren't literal records or copies of events. Instead, they are constructive, or rather creative. Additionally, not only are our memories constructive, they are also selective. We selectively remember certain things and ignore others. This can result in a memory bias that gives us the impression of the mysterious or even paranormal. Several cognitive biases exist. First, false memory. We can believe we remember something that actually never happened. For correct recollection of a memory to occur, you must remember all the main features and link them together in a way that makes sense. If you can only remember a few features, the final product may be distorted. It's not uncommon for people to remember stories that were told to them or even fantasies as their very own real personal experiences. A second cognitive bias is denying the evidence. This is the refusal to accept evidence that disconfirms our belief or hypothesis. The reluctance to change one's own view when contrary evidence is presented is found everywhere. For example, doctors sometimes refuse to change an incorrect diagnosis. This is also the case for creationists who are willing to simply dismiss evidence because it conflicts with their belief. A third type of cognitive bias is subjective validation. This is a bias by which a person will consider a statement or another piece of information to be correct if it has any personal meaning or significance to them. This phenomenon sometimes involves believing a general personality description is unique to oneself. This is an essential element to any successful cold reading done by astrologers, palm readers, or the like. A fourth cognitive bias is availability error. This is the tendency to base judgments on evidence that is vivid or memorable instead of reliable or trustworthy. Individuals who fall victim to availability error commit the fallacy of hasty generalization. They make judgments about a group of things based on a small sample. This can result in a superstitious belief. In other words, to believe there is a cause and effect relation when there is no logical relation between the two. When we think there is a causal relationship, we tend to notice or look for those things which confirm that relationship. An example of this would be the lunar effect. Many people believe the moon affects our behavior. If you have this belief, you are more likely to notice this behavior, thereby confirming your belief. This confirming evidence becomes more psychologically available to you. A fifth cognitive bias is underestimating the improbable. This is the inability to appreciate or estimate the probabilities of salient events. Research indicates that even the most trained scientists are prone to misjudge probabilities. Additionally, most people don't realize that because of ordinary statistical laws, incredible coincidences are common and must occur. An event that seems highly improbable can actually be highly probable given enough opportunities to occur. For example, if a normal person has about 250 dreams per night, and there are over 250 million people in the U.S., this results in billions of dreams every night. With so many dreams and so many events that can be matched to dreams, why should we be surprised when dreams appear to be prophetic? So what are the important lessons to take from this video? First, just because something seems real doesn't mean that it is. Second, when evaluating a claim, look for disconfirming as well as confirming evidence. Third, when evaluating a claim, look at all the relevant evidence, not just the psychologically available evidence. And fourth, it's reasonable to accept personal experience as reliable evidence only if there is no reason to doubt its reliability.